Hi, welcome to the Ichthean Forge. If you will remember on the soldering video where I did soldering practice, there was a little chopper that I was working on there, and okay, the solder worked, but it was kind of a sloppy job. I said that I might finish it on camera and sell it. A friend of mine spoke up, said that he was interested in it, so he and I like to barter with each other, and we've worked out an appropriate barter for the chopper for something that he'll be sending me. That'll be featured in future videos. But in this video, we're going to be finishing the chopper up, and come along and see what happens. Alright, well, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to try to start off at 220 grit, sanding the edge, and get it nice and neat, and see if we can come to a nice, good, sharpenable edge for the client. Okay, so it's time to start on the 400 grit on these edges, and it's sharp. Trust me, it's sharp. My wife's going to find a bandage. Oh boy, it's been a frustrating day. But, hate to say it, but I do end up bleeding over a lot of my blades, and you really shouldn't do that. Should be more careful. But a lot of knife makers say that they've got their DNA on all of their blades, and I'm one of those guys. On about every blade I've done, I've put a little bit of blood on it somewhere along the way. Really should try to avoid that. Of course, I didn't set out and say, you know what, I think I'll cut myself on this one. It just kind of happened. So yeah, got some sanding to do to get the 200 or 220 grit out of it. There is a hornet buzzing around here, and I'm hoping he stays away from me. He is quite large. Shortened the tang on it a little bit, and I cut some grooves in it. Step a little closer so you can see that. But I cut some grooves in it so that I'm not going to add a pin or anything. So anyway, the epoxy will fill those slots and sort of lock it into place. So right now I got to grind some burrs off of this and shape up the that thing. The bolster a little bit, and then we'll move on to the handle. Okay, so yeah, that's going to be on a wasp. I don't know if he got on film on camera or not, but there was a wasp. Anyway, so yeah, we're going to go ahead and move on to the handle. So, got to plug in my drill press. I chose a piece of mahogany for the handle. What I had laying around, and I think it'll make a nice handle. I always think of this scene in the Hunger Games where, I forgot her name, Katniss stabs the knife into the table and Effie pops off and says, "That's mahogany." So that's kind of a big joke around our house. So this is mahogany. Okay. Alright, I think what I need to do is just trim away here. Grind away. So I think we have the right shape. I think. Maybe. Anyway, we gotta drill it out a little more. Alright, so I've drilled it out to where I want it. I'm gonna sand down, hog off a lot of the material here. It's a dull belt, really. I should put a sharper belt on there, but I'm going to hog off a lot of the material and get it down close to where I want it, and then I think we're going to epoxy it up. At least in the front, we're going to hog it off. I don't know about the back. Really proud of the lines, I think. So yeah, there's still some excess material there, but I think that I'm going to work with that. I'm going to go ahead and glue that up and clamp it up, and we'll go from there. See what happens from that point. Well, I decided instead of just using straight Gorilla Glue, I'm going to use Gorilla Epoxy. See how that works. Kind of nasty as usual. Make a big mess. Don't get on my pocket knife. Shouldn't have my pocket knife in the way, right? Rusted up clamps. I guess you just can't feel sorry for a guy who asks for it, can you? It's the old phrase, proper planning prevents poor performance. This is the exact opposite of that, and this is opposite of that, and this is why that saying is around. Alright, so there. Anyway. Epoxy off my pocket knife. If I've got any acetone, I'll need to get that on there. So yeah, anyway, we're going to leave it at that, let it dry. Even though that's 5-minute epoxy, I think I'm just going to leave it overnight. Okay, so after the initial shape up of this handle, I like the shape of it, except that it doesn't really work for a chopper, something you're going to want to pinch here and roll and chop herbs with. So, I mean, it's fat, kind of chunky for that job. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to bring the sides down some, round it up, and see where we are from there. Alright, so kind of got down to a shape I want. I think I'm going to clamp it up and get some, maybe a rasp and some sandpaper on it and start shaping it up. Alright, so I think this is 80 grit. I ended up getting some sandpaper out of a bargain box, and some of it isn't exactly labeled, but compared to a known piece of 80 grit, the same make, it feels like 80 grit. So anyway, I'm just going to go to shaping a handle with it. Let's see how that feels. That's better. That's a lot better. It fills up the back of the hand. Can pinch it pretty well in the front. I like that. So anyway, a couple of other somethings left to do here. Alright, so brought out a couple of different grits. I'm going to start with 220. If I have to back up to 180, I will, but I don't think I'm going to have to. This is a really soft wood. So anyway, the brass might be a problem, but figure that out. Well, that went pretty well with the 220 grit sanding. I'm going to go ahead and start on 400, and that may be where I stop. I may take the bolster higher. I may leave it at 400. But we're going to start with going to 400 grit sanding. It's very crooked cutting on this paper. Paper is about half damp. It's really wet out here. We had a storm earlier. So anyway, we're going to move on with 400 grit. Let's start with the bolster first. Considering this isn't the prettiest blade, it's a prototype really, that I wouldn't even sell it, I don't think, if a good friend of mine wasn't interested in it. And he and I have worked something out on that. I think he's going to field test it for me, but as far as fit and finish, I already know there's some issues that have to be addressed in the next one. So I might just leave this at 400 grit. Now, got to think about handle finish, because that's about where I am right now. I would rather use tung oil on this, because I'm used to it. But this is most likely coming in contact with food. People freak out when things are not food safe. Most likely rightly so. You don't want to get poisoned. And I'm not certain that tung oil is food safe. I've not seen anything on that. I've not seen anything to tell me definitely that it is. I have, however, seen that boiled linseed oil is food safe. And I have some of that. So, let me go get it, and we'll be right back. Kind of a golden brown color there. Alright, so I'm going to call it quits on this for just now as far as the video goes, and put a few more coats of this on there. When I'm sure it's good and saturated, I'll bring you back in for probably some more work on this bolster and fix up the my mistakes here on the blade while I was grinding the handle. Alright, I hope that the mower isn't too loud. We've fallen behind on our grass cutting, so Matt is handling that right now. And I am getting back on the chopper. I don't know if you can see it, I hope you can, but right in here and on the other side too is where the belt hit it when I was belt sanding last time. I'm gonna try to go back to 180 grit. Hopefully I can start there and knock this out fairly quickly. I don't want to go all the way back to 80 grit, but we'll see what I have to do. That blade is about as done as I'm going to get it. There's a slight nick right there that I'll try to get out on my wet rock. Sharpening. Water stone is what I'm trying to say. Alright, so anyway, I'm going to peel this back and get to the get the bolster revealed here, and we'll go to work on it. Okay, so let's see if we can finish this up. Alright, well, we'll check out, see what kind of edge I have here. I think I'm going to go ahead and buff it and see what happens. Okay, so I pull the blue tape off of the handle, and I see that it seems to have pulled linseed oil out of it or something. I don't know. But now I've got stripes all in the handle, and it's patchy and ugly. Trust me, it wasn't like that when I put it under the tape. I'm really starting to dislike that blue tape. So now, anyway, I'm going to go back, hit it with some 400 grit sandpaper, knock some of this off, coat it in some linseed oil, and we'll try to finish it tomorrow night instead. Anyway, it'll be just a couple minutes, a couple seconds for you. Alright, so here it is, almost finished. I was able to sand this down last night with 400 grit paper to get all of the stripes out of it. And right now I'm just going to take a little bit of butcher's paste wax, which I did go ahead and buff it some before I did anything else to it last night. But I'm going to put a little bit of butcher's paste wax. I guess Johnson's would work or whatever. Rub that into the handle. We'll let that dry in a little bit. Alright, my own thoughts on this blade. It's actually been a fun little project. It was a mistake from the beginning, as I've already said. I need a little bit of I don't need this whole shirt to do this. But it was a mistake. Supposed to be an herb chopper. My own initial thoughts, though, are that it needs more of a flat grind than it has. I think it's a little bit convex ground. Good grief, I think the knife maker would have a sharp knife. But it's a little more convex ground than I think it needs to be. But what I'm going to do is send it off to the buyer, and he's going to field test the thing for me. But I will probably start on another one to begin, or anyway, but it's going to be more flat ground than what this one is. All right. Not being funny or anything, but I understand, and I'm going to have to try it one day. I understand that pantyhose can do an outstanding job with buffing like this. I've understood back when I was in the Army that some guys would use them on their boots. I don't like that sliding around. I don't want to scratch up the blade. Still not coming out with as bright a finish as maybe I had hoped. But it's good. Well, there it is. don't know if they knew me or one of my neighbors. Somebody blowing the horn. So, yeah. To be honest with you, you can fool around with something and mess around with it and play around with it and keep on and keep on and keep on, because you will always find something that isn't right. So what I'm going to do instead is call this one quits. I don't really have a scale or anything, so I can't tell you the exact measurements and everything on it. It's about a 4.5 inch handle on it, probably about a 4-inch blade. So yeah, I'll get some measurements on it though, so for my own records, and I'll probably get started on another one pretty soon. But I want to correct that edge on the next one. I wasn't able to bring this down as razor sharp as I wanted. So yeah. Anyway. Alright, well, this one is ready to go to its owner. It's finished. Might do a little more polishing on that brass. It's tarnished a little bit since I finished the video. Finished working on it. So let's get some measurements on this thing. We've got looks like an overall length of about 9 inches. The blade, all the way out to this little tip here, comes out to 4¼ inches long. And it's a nice little heft in the hand, and I like the way that you can grab a hold of it here at the front for chopping. Again, I'm not certain it's going to be the greatest chopper, but I'm going to let my friend test it out. We'll let him see, and he's going to get back with me, and we'll see if what I've decided will be what he decides as well. And so hopefully he'll have a good blade. I think he will, and I hope to improve my next ones. So anyway, I want to thank you for following along with this, and if you like the video, please hit the like button, and I would greatly appreciate it if you would share it with your friends and if you would subscribe. Remember, we're shooting for 100 subscriptions. We're at about 56 now, and so we get to 100, we're going to have a small giveaway, but you got to get me to 100. Let's go with it. So we'll catch you next time. I'll have a rag in just a minute to buff this thing. Next video, sharpening pocket knives. No, not really. Needs to be. We have dogs, so we have dog hair here, and I don't want it on my project. Alright, here we go.